What is up, Maniacs, and welcome to Broadened Horizon. I'm your host, Drake Riggs, here with episode 31. Ryzen 44 and Ryzen Landmark 6 are right around the corner, and for episode 31, we brought in 3 stars from each, 2 of which are competing against each other. Kicking off the show was heavyweight veteran Todd Duffee, who gets set to make his Ryzen debut this Saturday night at Ryzen 44. Duffee returns to Japan for the first time since 2010. Welcoming Duffee to the ring will be Ryzen stalwart Yoshi Sudario. After Duffee, we're joined by rising atomweight contenders and prospects, the Shuto atomweight champion Ayaka Watanabe and Deep Jewel star Machi Fukuda. The pair will each make their Ryzen debuts at Ryzen Landmark 6 on October 1st when facing off with each other. Thanks as always to our great guests for chatting, and thanks to everyone who supports the show. Whether you've been watching on MMAmania.com, YouTube, or listening on Spotify, don't forget to hit like and share if you enjoy. First up, it's Todd Duffee. Well, happy Tuesday, man. I mean, how are things? Relaxing, obviously.
Yeah, I'm just a little tired.
Good. Cool. Good training earlier?
Yeah, I just was up late. I had to help move my girlfriend out into a new tattoo shop.
Oh, okay. I'm
She
assuming
got a
she's...
cool new space. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, right on. That's that's always cool. Getting I'm sure you get some nice discounts.
Yeah, I haven't got a tattoo since I was like 23, I don't think. Trying to think. They're addicting. I don't want to.
Yeah, get overwhelmed. Get all
Well,
over.
yeah, like she also does. Yeah, yeah. I don't think I've got one since I was 23, maybe 22. I realized like, oh, this could be a problem.
Right. Hey, man, good you have that self-control, though. Some people can't even, they never stop.
Yeah, no, I know. I see lots of interesting stuff. What's up, Jake? How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. A little tired myself, so might try and get a nap in after this. But yeah, can't complain, man. It's the summer's disappearing where I am, so I'm kind of it's a little warm. I'm glad to get some diversity again in the weather
Yeah.
department. So
Where you at?
I'm in the Portland area, so it's actually rained pretty hard yesterday. So
You're in Florida right now, thank God, huh?
yeah, there you go. I'll be there next week in Jacksonville, actually. So
What
for
show's next week? Is there a
there's the
show?
the Game Bread Dos Santos and Verdum rematch.
You mean the heavyweight title for bare knuckle MMA? I don't know why they haven't put a belt on that yet. What's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they want to try and build a division. I think. I
No,
guess.
yeah, I've talked to Dean and I've talked to Jorge a little bit. I would just think that's the. I mean, both those guys deserve. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean,
It's a title fight.
I feel like Roy's got to be involved somehow after getting the last win, though. Maybe
Yeah,
fight
I
the
guess
winner.
I don't know. Does Roy want to fight?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Yeah.
Let me. Is Roy's wife gonna let him fight? I
Yeah.
think Roy wants to fight. That'd probably be
Right.
a better way to phrase that. I'm sure Roy wants to fight.
Yeah. Guess we'll see. Should be fun though. Always crazy when you take the gloves off. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different dynamic. Like it changes the sport really, like pretty drastically in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing I've noticed is people maybe a bit more patient to punch, and then we see actually a bit more grappling because they want to avoid kind of taking the punches, you know?
Yeah, I mean, also you just don't. I don't know how excited guys are to break their hands, and you don't have
Right.
missiles. Like I guess you have bullets, but you don't have missiles. Like it's just a different shot.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I have a cast on my hand, I can just rip it.
Mm-hmm. It's got that
And
weight.
yeah, and I don't have to think much about it. Whereas like if I don't, I have to think about where it lands, how things are gonna go. It's more than just like with a cast on my hand. I just need an exit strategy so I don't get hit. I'm
Yeah.
worried about my. It's like a double whammy. You're worried about your hand and an exit strategy.
Yeah.
It's
It's pretty,
interesting.
it's crazy stuff. Would you
Roy
ever?
beat Kleckler. Who'd he beat?
Yeah. Yeah. He fought Dylan.
Yeah, he still need to make that a title fight, and then Roy could challenge for it if he wanted. I think because those two have both held UFC titles.
Mm-hmm.
Did did JDS have like a fight jungle fight title or what heavyweight title did he have before coming to the UFC?
Um, I think he might have. I can't quite remember specifically where, but
Yeah.
sounds right. But yeah, that'll be interesting. So
That's exciting, honestly. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's going to bring different elements to the sport. I don't know. I guess the fans are really into the idea of the blood and guts of it. Is that the?
Definitely a bit more violent with the yeah the blood. Um,
I actually think it's less violent.
yeah, I mean, I probably bare knuckle like just boxing a bit more because
Yeah,
it's
yeah, for
just like
sure.
you have to take the damage. Like, man, I was at the Rockhold Perry one actually, and Rothwell versus Copeland. That was nasty because of the clinching. That was what made it like that was the first time I'd really kind of sat and watched a bare knuckle event of any kind, and the clinching was what made it kind of the most like, oh my god, this is kind of brutal because just the uppercuts nonstop and like tenderizing their faces, man. I was like, okay, I didn't know that that was a thing, but that makes it pretty nasty.
It's gnarly. It's a bar fight, realistically.
Yeah,
Like the way, and I'm not saying there's not. There is a lot of technique involved, and I'm sure will be evolving as it kind of moves forward. But it's really a bar fight. It really comes down to like
just a car crash.
your yeah, like how you enter and then how you get your grips. It's an interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I like the idea of bare knuckle MMA better because there's more weapons. Like you're going to see guys use their knees more, elbows more. I just don't like the idea of breaking my hand. Like I can't really.
Yeah.
It's like we barely get like what's the average UFC fighter getting now this year? Every year, 2 fights a year, maybe 1.9.
Yeah.
Do you know the stats on that?
It's still about two. Yeah, that hasn't changed too much.
Yeah, so you only get 2 fights, and then if you get injured, you get one if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
How do these guys make money, bro?
Yeah. They try not to punch, like I'm saying. So, or I mean, I guess the boxing guys, some of them making it pretty good from what I hear, but I don't know. It's definitely a very interesting kind of thing going on with that. But as for you, Todd, like I don't want to start off on a sour note with you, but I gotta ask, like, takeaways from your last fight, man, the rematch with Phil, and like haven't had time to
Uh,
reflect on it. It seemed like a poor timed kick, is kind of what unfortunately led to the downfall there. But I also got to wonder, like, did it feel good to like shake off rust? Just how did you take in everything with that experience?
um, all the things I had to go through just to get the opportunity, I hold pride in that, like to myself. And those are mostly private moments, so it's not really relevant to anybody. Or am I going to sit here and list my woe is me story? I was excited to get in there. I had quite. It was a very short camp for a 5 round fight, and then I tore up my shoulder real bad about 5 weeks out, and I realistically should have pulled out, but I
Mm,
hadn't fought in so long, and I could not find fights.
yeah,
Getting people to agree to fight me, it's like, oh, the promotional, it was a mess. So at that point, I'm like looking at my coaches. I'm like, well, maybe we can still do this. Uh, there are no other fights. Like it's just been this like, and I'm not going to get into the dynamics of promoters and what goes on, but it's absurd.
right.
It's absolutely absurd, and I think the fans they don't even have a clue.
Oh,
Like that's probably
definitely
the
not.
nastiest side of the business. Um, and it's just a mess. So like your life is just constantly on this. Like, well, maybe that. It's like this constant. So me and my coaches decided we could do it, and realistically, I thought we did a good job prepping. Even under the circuit, like I tore three of my rotator cuffs over
Ooh,
50%, and
ouch.
like, and it was a pretty severe my labrum too, but that's like kind of a normal injury to be honest. So I don't. I think like 30% of the population has torn labrum right now, sitting in some classroom in college somewhere. Uh, the camp, I did what I could. Short time for a 5 round fight, but actually I got in good shape. I got everything kind of lined up. I got my sparring in. Kane came in the last 2 or 3 weeks and gave me some really good sparring, which was just like an incredible moment for, I guess the obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I don't I need to paint that picture for anybody if they're aware of Kane's
Hmm.
situation. And like me and Kane helped prep me for the last time I fought Phil. I think he fought JDS in the same card later that night. Um, so it was like, it was like a nice, enjoyable moment. And then I don't know, I was probably sick getting on the flight with COVID, realistically, if we're having an honest
Hey,
conversation.
fair enough, man. Appreciate it.
And then I got there, I definitely had COVID. Uh,
Then I knew it.
yeah, like it was no denying. And that didn't really play into the fight, but it played into my psyche probably.
Mm,
Poor time kick. Like I would tell you, never throw a kick with a wrestler in the first round in a heavyweight fight. Till you're ready. To the last minute
yeah.
maybe of the round, or just like maybe a little different strategy. And I've known that for 17 years or so. So obviously it was just a mistake. Like he does this double hitch, and I read it, and usually he pulls back,
Mm-hmm.
and that time he decided to go. So I
Mm-hmm.
read the double hitch, and I was like, well, shit. So I just fired it. I got cocky too. I remember seeing how slow he was, and I got this like extraordinary amount of confidence that I've never had. I don't know.
Good
It was
feeling, I'm
like
sure.
you said, yeah, it was a poorly timed kick. Like he straight up told me he had no idea I was kicking. He just was so desperate to get me to the ground. He saw my
Mm,
foot on that warning track. That was a very small cage.
yeah.
Um, it's not the kick that really matters. It's not the kick that got me beat. It's not COVID that got me beat, and it's not the shoulder injury that got me beat. What got me beat was like we hit the ground, and I was busy thinking way too much. I wasn't reacting. I got to my positions to get up and get free. I just didn't react.
Mm,
So and I think a lot of that is like time out of the cage. Like I was literally in slow mo in my head. Like I'm usually pretty thoughtful in the cage, even though I have like violent style of fighting.
no.
I'm still thinking pretty clearly, like mid, onslaught. I'm aware of kind of what I'm doing. I'm not necessarily just like, yeah, it's a definite, it's it's a it's a violent style, but there's a lot of thought. I'm not
Right.
like just,
Going
there are times
crazy.
there are times I do spam things, or I like, it's a moment, but I'm trying to get my head offline. I'm responding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I do think a lot in the cage, and I have a lot of clear thoughts that I don't always relate to a lot of guys that don't. But this was just too much. It was like a jujitsu match slow. And you
Mm,
can't do that. And MMA jujitsu is not that. I can tell you that much. Like MMA jujitsu is like triggers with boxing. Like they do this, you do this, and there's no thoughts behind it. And I wasn't making those triggers. I wasn't pulling those triggers. Like I got out of all the nasty inverted positions. I got my leg free. I got to all fours, and I didn't explode up. I got to both my hands and feet, and I still allowed him to like drive me down, and I didn't explode up in those moments. I was thinking like I could play pretend and be like, oh, I was worried about my gas tank with COVID. I don't know if that's true.
right.
I don't think. I think I was just hadn't been in the cage in a while. And I needed to be fighting, and I was probably trained. You know what I mean? Like that kind
Yeah.
of speed. So it is what it is. Like it was an enjoyable experience. I do want to get that fight back. I don't know how realistic that is. Obviously not coming out, not really performing at all. And that was kind of the whole thing that me and my coaches talked about. It's like, well, we're injured, we have all these things going on, but like, can you still perform?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could, and I should have been able to perform, but I did not. So yeah, there's like, it sucks, but I don't know. Like, I don't see the fight game the way the fans do. I don't see the fight game the way this you guys do. No
Mm-hmm.
offense. Like, I think you guys all have it twisted up. Uh, and it's kind of a sad state of affairs in reality. Like you guys are, you lose a fight, you don't have a career.
Mm.
What's going on? Like why you lose a fight and all of a sudden you're worthless? It's like, well, if that guy sucks so bad, what about the winners? He sucked too.
Right,
Like
right.
I just don't think the dynamics of the sport are very healthy, and I don't think they actually bode well for good fights.
Mm.
I think that the fans, and I'm not pointing a finger at you. I'm just saying like
It's okay.
the way the sport is painted to the audience, I think it kills a lot of really good fighters' careers, and I think it kills a lot of really exciting fights.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you're and I believe me, I was like, well, winning matters more than anything.
Hmm.
I'm not discharging that, but I don't know. It's just a weird fan base. Like you can have a weird winning record and you suck.
Right.
And the reporters, and no offense, again, I'm not pointing like I've just seen it. They're right behind you. Like, yeah, they suck. It's like,
And in
what are you
some
talking
cases,
about?
started honestly, you know.
Yeah, but there is no. I don't know of a sport where there is a lack of understanding, a bigger gap of understanding and knowledge between the fans and the actual athletes. I
Hmm.
don't know. Like you want to say chess because the problem with our sport is like everybody can do it, but that doesn't mean that the knowledge base is actually there. I
Yeah.
don't even think guys that have fought for 5 or 6 years have a really great understanding of what's going on. I think it takes about the 8 to 9 year mark where you really start to go, oh, this is what fighting is. This is
Hmm.
like, um, so I just don't know of a sport that has a bigger like not
A gap, maybe, or
information gap,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, yeah. This
I don't know. I
gap.
don't want to
Yeah.
say like intelligence because it's like being wrong doesn't mean doesn't mean you're stupid. It just doesn't like it just
I think it's understanding, like kind of what you're saying. Maybe the perspective that you just simply can't have without putting in all that time.
yeah, and it's like this. It's a very naive perspective. I guess you're
Yeah.
right. It's more yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
I clearly need my nap. Yeah, so it's like so when you go out and get a loss it's terrible, right? And then it's just, you know, that side of things is frustrating. I don't care to go out and fight. And like one guy has to lose.
Mm.
It's like does this suck? Do you think I want to go out there and get fucking beat up? No.
No.
Yeah, like this whole like win purse thing is also another dynamic that makes it
Mm.
really stupid. Like
Yeah.
again, like guys, yeah, I just think you know, maybe there's gonna be a rehaul of the sport really soon. I think coming in October. So
Yeah. We'll
maybe
see.
you're gonna see some different dynamics there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That's yeah, I'm rambling at this point. Sorry, but
All
yeah,
good.
you know, it sucked. I definitely would like to get that fight back. You know, I went up to Phil and whispered in his ear. I kind of did it on purpose. I kind of motherfucked him right in front of the camera and said, "Hey, I want to I just said, "Hey, dude, I got COVID right now. I want a rematch." But
He's like, get
again,
away
COVID's
from
not
me.
why he beat me. Yeah, COVID's not why he beat me, and I'm
Yeah.
not. I don't. Uh, I just think that if I was willing to step up and get him paid that week and get their first show in Czech Republic, again, I know it wasn't exciting, but mm, what Phil DeFreeze fight is. No offense, Phil. Sorry, bro. Uh, so it's like I don't know. I definitely want that one back at some point, but I just don't know how realistic that is. I know the
Yeah.
Polish. I was told the Polish fan base was really angry that I got the opportunity.
Mm.
Uh, so I don't know. We'll see.
I mean,
That's up to
hey,
Kate.
I need people to fight, and there was a story there. I don't. I think it was fine, and of course now you can go for the trilogy like you're saying. But I mean, just for KSW in general, man. Like I think that they're in terms of kind of presentation. Obviously, they are right up there amongst the best, if not like the best. And just the way that their production value is how high it is, and then of course they put on very exciting fights too. But I mean, how was the experience of getting to work with them though, and like go through being in an event and the kind of spectacle they put on?
I think they do the best they can to create that spectacle. Again, I had COVID. Like there was at one point a reporter was asking me like, she goes, I just see such a stark difference between you two. Like you're kind of not excited, and he's like very happy and jovial, and I'm just like, yeah.
Not
Meanwhile, in
feeling
my head,
great.
I'm like, I'm fucking sick, bro. Like you're probably sick now too. I'm sorry. Like I don't know what to do about this situation.
Uh,
I'm like trying not to breathe on you right now, lady. Like you know.
yeah, I guess that puts a damper on things, huh? Oh, think I lost you. Oh, there we are.
All right, you're back. Sorry. Like I said, you cut off. Sorry.
Yeah, I was there. Kind of puts a damper on things a little bit.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, of course I'm excited to some degree, but I'm not just fucking sick.
Right. Let's get through this.
Yeah. So I mean, that's that situation, I guess. Like again, I'd like that fight. I think me and Phil have very interesting styles
Hmm.
that hasn't really got portrayed in either one of our fights that we have a
Yeah.
very I don't know if pragmatic is the word, but like the way we match up, it's a very explosive, fast paced fight.
Hmm.
I think you got to see a little bit of it, I guess, in both fights realistically, but it was just done differently each time,
Hmm.
probably. Like
Yeah.
there's always probably going to be a finish when me and Phil fight.
Yeah.
And it might be like an attrition finish. It might be, it's just our styles. Like we go for it. Phil obviously is like kind of moved himself into this like bigger bodied, slow grappler style that he wasn't always when he was younger,
Hmm.
but he still has a lot of those attributes. And I think Phil likes a fast pace the same as I do. So it's definitely an exciting fight if they want to make it again at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first thing I think they got to give me a fight to get an opportunity to do that. Even.
Well, hey, man, I mean, rack up some wins outside of KSW, and then, maybe it won't matter as much. But from one spectacle to another, man, like Ryzen, like seeing that this matchup was made, super exciting, just for me as a fan, and like against Sudario, who's kind of their one main heavyweight, I guess you could say. The roster is kind of not much of a roster at heavyweight, but he sticks around and fights as often as he can. So, like, how cool and exciting is it for you to get this opportunity with a promotion like Rise? And of course, a lot of people equate it to the modern day Pride, and you're returning to Japan since just the one fight that you had in like 2010 or so. So, I just how cool is this opportunity?
It's exciting because, like, again, like I get to see a fan base that appreciates what fighting really kind of is. I
Hmm.
think they have a healthier perspective on
All that stuff we
all
talked about,
aspects
yeah.
of it. It's not just like the winning and losing. It's like, oh no, you're like going out there putting your life on the line, and they get that. It's a different rule set. It's a different, there is no cage, which is a way different dynamic. It's a different style. Like it's a different style of wrestling. It's a
Hmm.
different style of striking. It's a different style of, there's more engagements, I think, than the big UFC cage or like some of these cages. Like, I don't have to engage in a cage,
Hmm.
especially the UFC cage. It's huge.
Yeah.
If I don't want to, I'm fast enough as a heavyweight. I can run around for 15 minutes. I can't. I've tried it in practice. It's not hard. Uh, I think with with the ring, it's a good size, but those corners create a lot of engagements,
Hmm.
and that's the type of fights that that creates a exciting fight, which can be appreciated by the fan base that I think has a better, healthier understanding. Like I'm sure Japan, like I know I've seen like the Breaking Down show. I know that they're starting to get into like this ridiculous bullshit part of like
Yeah, that show's crazy.
our our human culture. But I'm excited for that aspect. Like I can actually just go be a warrior, and I don't have to worry about bullshit as
Hmm.
much. I don't have to worry about like what's my like. Did I shake that? Like the U.S. fan base is so incredibly entitled. Let's just say that,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then on top of it, they're gonna shit on you. They want what they want is they want to see you rise so they can see you fall, right? Like that is
Right.
their whole thing. Whereas Japan, they actually appreciate the entire process,
Hmm.
right? Like whereas they, I don't know. So that's exciting. Like I'm excited to, I guess, be appreciated in a healthy way.
Hmm.
And Sudario is an incredible athlete. He's got, you know, for the amount of time he's had in the sport, he's got a pretty good skill set. He's very dynamic and he's very willing and game to fight. I think he is a fighter, and I think he embodies that. Like he's not going to go out there and game a win. He's going to go out there and earn it if he's going to get it. And I think it's cost him some fights, but I think that's okay. Like he's showing, and he's going to grow more from those fights
Yeah.
than if he were to go out there and play it safe GSP style. Sorry, George, but you know,
Yeah.
uh, so that's exciting. Like I think it's a really good matchup. I think you're going to see a very fast paced, dynamic fight. He's a young kid. He wants to get busy. Ensign Inu is his main coach.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I'm not going to give away my perspectives too much. I do think there's about 5 or 6 different ways this fight could go that are very clear, stylistically. But he's growing every day at a younger rate. He's got a fresh new mind. So it'll be interesting. I don't have I'm not putting big weight in his previous fights past like what his physical attributes might be.
Right.
He's trained with a bunch of my friends, so I have a good understanding of who he is. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for it, obviously, but as I lay here in bed,
Yeah. It's thrilled.
super excited.
No, yeah, it's gonna be good, man. But you touched on kind of the differences with the rules and whatnot a little bit there. I want to ask, like, do you like the rules better over there and kind of having the freedom to do like more strikes on the ground? And of course, they score fights as a whole. Not sure how you feel about that, but just what is kind of the thought in the differences? Do you like it more?
I think I like the idea of them scoring the fight as a whole, but I'm an American coming over there, so I'm not really excited about the scoring system per
Yeah.
se. Like, I fully expect that human nature is going to take place in those in that aspect. So I'm not really like, oh, geez, can't wait to go to the scorecard on this one.
That's never the thought anyway.
Yeah, not with me at least, right? You know, I like that it opens up more opportunity for a freer, I guess, more wild, interesting fight. It's more realistic.
Yeah.
You take away the cage, you take away a lot of bullshit that guys do. You take away like the space, you take away again a lot of bullshit guys do. Like that, people have no idea how big that UFC cage is. For 15 minutes, I don't know. There's a few heavyweights nowadays, but 10 years ago there wasn't a heavyweight that could. If I didn't want to engage, I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I literally could have ran around and just been like, oh, who was the Canadian guy that was like flipping off?
Oh, Caleb Starnes?
Yeah,
The Nate Quarry fight?
Yeah. And then maybe pot shot him here and there. And like, you could even win fights like that, honestly. So I think that those aspects make it, it actually favors my style of fighting. Like, I like to fight. I don't go into like game the system. I don't go into, I want to win. I'm going to do everything I can to win, but I'm going to do that by fighting. And I don't, there's like a mixed martial arts aspect. There is an athletic aspect. There's a competition aspect, and then there's a fighting aspect. And I lean heaviest on the fighting aspect. So that rule set opens up that fighting aspect. So that's exciting for me. I think that's going to give me more opportunities for finishes. That's going to give me more opportunities to shine. But I mean, like, also, I'm not necessarily thrilled about the idea of possibly having to stomp someone's head. I'm not like,
I'll do it if I have to. But...
Yeah, no, exactly. I've had that thought already. It's like, well, I mean, several times I've screamed guys while I knew they were unconscious. It's not something I'm excited about doing. It's like I'm looking at them like,
yeah,
as I'm doing it. It's just the nature of the business. Like, ref hasn't stepped in. I need my opponents to know that they're going to be punished and they're gonna maybe be out for 6 months sitting around dizzy. I need them to have that fear and understanding of what they're getting themselves into, because that is what they're getting themselves into. So yeah, like, I'm not thrilled to like go stomp on some dude's head like while I hold the ropes. It's not necessarily my nature, but I'm gonna do it if I have to, right? Like, I'm not thrilled that my family might know the rule set, like they're already incredibly disappointed by the whole thing. But I haven't really mentioned that part. Maybe they've kind of been able to avoid it.
Yeah. Great points though, for sure.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they're none too thrilled about any of it. So yeah. Hopefully they don't find that out till later.
Right, until after the fight.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you mentioned that though, man, because I remember I think it was before your last fight with Phil here when you were coming back. But you said you expected to fight for 5 more years. Is that still the plan, or is the family coming into play here a little bit, like you just said?
Oh, I mean, my family's never been happy about it. No one's.
Okay.
I can't think of anyone in my life that's not disappointed about it. I'll be very honest. I mean, I get it. I have enough understanding of what's going on to understand why I wouldn't be excited if my daughter or my son or somebody. I'd be pissed. I'd be like, fuck, what'd I do wrong? But No, I think I have 5 years in me at least.
Hmm.
I haven't taken the amount of damage most guys have. I've had a lot of like career. I got locked in contracts a few times. I got, we'll call it mismanaged by managers.
Okay.
We'll play pretend and not shit on anybody's thievery or whatever. So I've had missed out on a lot of opportunities. You got to know that like early in my career, this is when you couldn't find a heavyweight fight. Like I had
Yeah.
over probably 20 fights scheduled that didn't happen that I got to the week of the fight. Like I did a whole camp for it.
Oh,
I did everything I was supposed to do. And that's back in the day when we didn't really know what was going on. So guys would pull out of fear. Or there wasn't a lot of money either. So they're just like, what am I doing? I had probably two or three guys, go to weigh-ins, not show up at the fight. That
wow.
was a very an occurrence back then. So I don't have the number of fights that reflect my years of experience and years of I'm 17-year vet, and
Yeah.
I have never really not trained twice a day. So past injuries and things, like
Hmm.
certain life circumstances. But even when I've had full time jobs, I've been training twice a day. So uh, I want those fights. I deserve those fights. I want those experiences. So I train with young guys now, and no, I don't have any like, oh crap, I don't feel like that about my age. My reflexes look
Feeling
good. I
like you're in
slow,
trouble in the middle of things.
yeah, like I slow mo my videos and see like my reflexes are fine. Like my speed hasn't really changed. I am older, I guess. Like I'm not able to like beat my body up the same way, but I don't think I'd want to. Like what we were doing in the early 2010s was absurd.
Yeah.
It was crazy, you know. The type of training, like the injuries we would get and the things we would still do. You still see it a little bit now, but not the way we were doing it back in the day. It was so dumb.
Just
We all
not
kind
even
of knew
thinking.
it, but yeah, we all knew it, but the level of stress and the level of like, you don't know what you don't know. And I
Hmm.
think that's where a lot of people were operating off of back then. So there's just like extra like, oh shit, well, I don't know what I don't know, so I just have to get ready any way I can, and that involves like getting this experience, overtraining quite a bit. I have rhabdomyolysis like twice in my career. Like, that's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
how do you do that? I get how you could do it with CrossFit, but how do you do that with martial arts? Like it's like,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. We'll see. Like I am definitely excited for the opportunity in Japan. I'm excited for the opponent. Uh, I definitely have heard my entire career I belong in Japan. You'd be like, why aren't you in Japan? But I spent 2 years just trying to get fights, so I couldn't even get it. So I don't,
Yeah.
it's,
We're here now.
yeah. I mean, there's a MMA mafia, MMA mafia managers that have like locked down the game. And if you don't have one of them as your manager, you're going to struggle to get
Hmm.
fights, especially in these bigger promotions. Like, I mean, that lawsuit's exciting for that very reason to me. Uh, I don't necessarily always fault the promotions, but these managers are gnarly. Is
Yeah.
about the way they're in control of the sport. They're also working for the promotions. They're not working for the fighters. Like this
Right.
isn't. I'm sure if you've been around the sport long enough, you know.
Yeah.
So, hopefully that lawsuit, like maybe something comes of it and it breaks up some of this bullshit. But I don't know.
It's taking its time, but it looks like steps are going in the right direction. So,
I mean, can you explain to me why a guy with let's just go off of I'm undeniably exciting.
hmm.
You can't say I'm not. There's
Hmm.
no way. There's never a fight that's not. So I have that. I have the physical attributes and the physical look. I have the credentials and all extensive purposes to be able to get fights. I've earned the opportunity to like, oh, this guy's worth getting in the cage, getting in my cage. Can you explain why a guy like me would have trouble finding fights?
The only
Because there's tons of heavyweights that want my name. There's
right.
tons of them. That's also another attribute that I
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
Like our guys want that. So, do you have any explanation? Because I can tell you, it's not because I don't want to fight.
Yeah.
Like
Well, like the only thing that comes to mind, I mean, you laid it out kind of beating that would be just like, oh well, they're afraid to fight. They're afraid to fight Todd, but that's always that's not a realistic argument.
Not anymore. This sport's different now. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, guys were afraid, but now guys are not afraid. Like they're, fame is such a real thing now with fighting.
Yeah.
There is actually somewhat amount of money involved in it now. It's not like it was 10, 15 years ago. I would be like, oh, maybe I'm struggling to get opponents, but it's no, I'm struggling to get promoters or managers to allow me those opportunities.
Right.
So I don't know. It's interesting. So yeah, I'm super grateful that Ryzen is giving me this opportunity, and I'm gonna do the most I can with it. There's a lot of I think there is a lot more heavyweights over there than people realize, and I think it is more exciting than people realize. But again, some shithead online recently, I love to talk shit to the fans because I think they're so dumb, and it's incredibly.
I mean, that's just a fact.
No, I don't care to say it. Like I'm not trying, and they get it so high, like they're so entitled and so easily offended. Like, how could you say? It's like, no, I don't care what you think. You don't pay my bills. They don't. The fans actually do not pay the fighters' bills. It's now where the promoter decides who the fans are going to like, and it's the same as like this whole, it's like propaganda situation. It really is. There's not the best fighters always out there. UFC is doing the best job they can to put them forward. But just if you were to like generalize, it's not the fans that decide. It's the promoters, and the fans kind of follow suit. So they get like hyper mad. But this guy was like trying to compare me and say like, I've never fought at the level of Conor McGregor, right?
Okay.
Which I haven't. I haven't fought in front of those crowds, in front of that pressure. But he's never fought at heavyweight. Yeah. And I do not think there's enough respect for what comes at heavyweight. I don't think there's enough understanding. I think, again, I'm not pointing a finger at you. I think there's a lack of understanding of what's going on, the lack of understanding of what it means to be a heavyweight. And instead we get shit on by, oh, this is another boring heavyweight fight. It's like, do you not know what's going on, dude? Like, do you not see what I'm looking at, or like I might be experiencing? There's a reason there's divisions. Conor McGregor's never fought at my level. I hate to tell you. Yeah. Like if he has, then go fight a heavyweight. There's weight classes for a reason. Yep. The highest level in the sport, whether you want to hear about it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, is at heavyweight. And yes, it's not as pretty sometimes. And people want to say, oh, it's not as technical. But again, I don't know that they understand what technique actually is. It's not this ability to hit like one, like it's space, timing. It's these things that are like, it's the mechanics of your body and what they're able to do and what you're able to do with that. That's really what technique is against your opponent, not in the air or your ook that you're just throwing around the room. Like, I can show you 100 black belt moves. Who gives a shit? Like this stuff's irrelevant. So I just don't think there's enough respect about heavyweights in general. It's kind of disappointing. And I don't know. I mean, John Jones is going out and proving it right now. It's like, oh no, he knows. He didn't stick in 205 to go. He's talking about his legacy. And the reason he's talking about his legacy is because he knows what he's doing. He's now going to the highest level and going, guess what, motherfuckers? I am the highest level fighter, right? Like, so I don't know. I just watch this fandom go, and it's very frustrating to see. It's like, what are you seeing? Like, these are exciting fights. Don't misinterpret. There are a lot of exciting fights at 155, 145, but it's a different level. It just is. Yeah. And everybody can like talk about pound for pound. That's the biggest joke I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. Like, why does that exist? Why are people like
marketing tool?
Yeah. Listen, Alexander Volkanovski's a bad motherfucker. I got nothing but bad respect for him, but I don't know many heavyweights that he's going to beat at a high level. Yeah. There's heavyweights like, but you show me a heavyweight with like in the top 25 in the UFC that he can compete with. So it's like, why do heavyweights not get the respect that they deserve? Do you have an answer for that? Is it short man complex? Is that a lot of it? Because that's a lot of what I see, honestly. It's a lot of hate.
Yeah.
For like,
well, I would think it's I think it's kind of like what you said, how it might not look pretty. So just kind of the optics of maybe I don't know, technical aspects that even still they don't understand. But just I don't know. I think that the speed, like just the actual visual speed, might be a thing. And then of course, occasional, not the greatest physique, like that kind of stuff. You know.
Oh, geez, Roy's fat. Who
I
gives a
yeah
fuck?
yeah. No, I'm just what it
No,
could be.
yeah, and I understand that. It's just, but when they're discussing like levels, I'm like, that's the highest level,
Yeah,
bro.
that's
Like,
literally the top.
there's divisions for like, and you can say, oh, weight classes don't matter. It's like, all right, we'll open it up, bro. My weight class is open as far as I'm concerned. 265
Yeah,
doesn't really exist in my book.
yeah.
I'll fight all the way up. And I'm sure there's some 350-pound monsters that might give me some serious problems. You know, like, but there's a give and take with that. Like, if I were to fight a guy at 170, they have a lot of attributes that are going to give me some problems.
Hmm.
Um, so there's no reason they shouldn't. I think they should all be open. I think they should open it up. Let's go play in this pretend game of like the greatest fighter of all time. Let's play this pretend game. Like, Conor McGregor's an incredible martial artist. He's a
Hmm.
great fighter, and I'm using him as an example. I think Conor's great. I'm excited to see him fight. Like, but I'm using him as an example because of this fan base. Uh, Open it up, bro. Let's see
Yeah,
how good he
do it
is.
then.
Why have him fight Anthony Smith at 205? What are you guys waiting on? I don't understand.
Yeah, let's do it.
You're laughing, but I'm dead serious.
No,
I
I'm open.
can't.
Matt Brown called out Derek Lewis recently.
Matt might be able to give Derek hell for a little while. He really might. And I'm not like Matt Brown gets it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
he's looking at that like, all right, I got these attributes. I could probably do this, and he might be right. I'm not saying there's not guys at 185 that can't whoop a lot of heavyweights' asses. I'm not
right.
saying that. There are. It's just going to look different, and they're not going to look pretty doing it either. Probably that's the other thing that people don't. It's going to be like Alexander. He could beat some heavyweight, I'm sure, but it's just that like it's not going to look pretty.
Yeah.
He's not going to be hitting these
Well, it's
sweet
not
ass
going to look
numbers.
like what we're used to seeing, right? Where guys who are the closer in size. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah, and that's another thing. The heavyweights, like the physical body types, they're so different sometimes that like it's very like certain stuff works against this body type where it doesn't in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just rambling at you because I'm tired, but
Yeah.
no, I think that's like the most frustrating thing that I'm excited to see. Maybe Japan, hopefully we can liven up their heavyweight division. I think there is a lot of opportunity for that with them. I don't know. There's not a ton of large Japanese guys, but there's still 5 or 6 of them out there that the division's not. It's not non-existent,
Right.
And there's just a lot of guys that they could bring in. So hopefully that happens. There's going to be 4 fights on the card, or no, there's 2 heavyweight fights on the card, so 4 heavyweights on the card. So I'm excited to see that. And I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take to get heavyweights the respect they deserve. Like, taking myself out of the equation as a fan,
Yeah.
I don't like light heavyweights also.
Yeah.
Like, those guys make it look pretty, so it's a much more exciting division for the fans. But it's like, those are the ones, dude. Like, why are we talking about anybody under 205 right now? Is the greatest of all time, or like the pound for pound great? Like, this whole concept is such a joke to me, and it's like, I don't want to take away from these other guys' accomplishments, and I'm not saying I can even beat some of those guys. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying though is heavyweight is the highest level. What is wrong with the fan base? What is wrong with society? Why can't they not understand and respect that? And why are they excited about it, dude? There's more finishes.
Yeah.
Is that not what they want?
I don't know. You're bringing up a lot of good points here. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll change too soon, unfortunately. But yeah, I think you raised a lot of good points, man. But
Like, when is the open weight Grand Prix coming back?
One championship was supposed to do a Muay Thai one this year, but that didn't happen. That would have been cool.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was the one in like 2018 or 19 in Korea they were doing. I think it was like 2018, and then it like they started it like the 16 man, and then
Yeah.
I don't think it got finished.
Yeah. Don't see it too much anymore.
I know like Chris Barnett was in that. There was a couple like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
I don't know. It's an interesting sport, but it's. I just wish. I just think there's just a lot being missed. You know, I guess is an easy way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's frustrating as a true fan to see like, all right, here's what we're doing. You know,
Right.
but I mean, like money and fame is really what now garners the attention of the fan base. They don't
Mm.
really even care about how good the martial artist is, as far as I can tell. They care about how much shit they're willing to talk. Can you answer that? Why do people? So, like, you see these Russian promotions. I'm sure you've seen the recently the two ladies that just got in a fight, like on stage
Mm-hmm.
for that Russian promotion. I think Nasha Delo or something.
Yeah.
Why does that excite people? These two people are going to actually have a real fight shortly. Why do you care what they have to even say to each other? Like, can you help me understand that as a guy that's you're writing, but this is your entire livelihood,
Yeah.
right? Like to hype these fights, to make it pretty, to make it enjoyable. What is it that the fans enjoy? Like, it seems dumb.
No,
It
I
seems
completely
exceptionally
agree.
stupid. The level of IQ of humans is not that low, is it?
That might be where we're wrong, but no, I'm fully on board. I think it's just like the fact that it's something that it's not supposed to be happening here. You know, like you don't expect it to happen, and it's drama, and
There's not a
I,
stage. There's not a Russian MMA
I
stage
know they all.
show that I don't expect that
Yeah,
to happen.
that's true. Yeah,
Like when they had Mike Perry up there, I was like, "Oh, Mike's about to get in a fight." And Mike knew
exactly.
he was about to get in a fight. Mike was like, "Fuck, I don't want to get up here and fight. This is stupid."
Yeah,
Mike Perry is basically saying that, right? Like
yeah, he did.
the guy is down to do it anytime. He's like, "Y'all trying to get a free fight out of me? No
Like,
way."
no,
You
yeah,
know, because I'm here to corner my friend. Like, what are you guys doing? I just don't understand. I guess I don't really understand humans, and that's my fault, right?
yeah. I guess so. Could be.
Cannot relate. I can't relate. It's painful.
Oh man.
It'd make for an easier life if I could, maybe. Walking around all day with a headache. I'm like, what in the
What
fuck?
is going on?
Yeah.
Well, damn.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add about right. I'm just excited to do it. I'm excited to be there. I don't have a lot of exciting things to tell you about my life. I'm a rather boring individual. I just like to, I don't have any hot takes for you. I don't really
All good.
care.
I mean, I think that was it. I don't know if it's a hot take, but it's probably a hot take considering the fact that we pretty much laid out it's a hot take because people don't think that about the heavyweight division. So yeah,
What will it take for them to get the? It's not the reporter's fault. It's not. You guys just placate to your audience. Like at the end of the day, you're like, what's gonna generate the most amount of like agreements
what do
because they
people
need
want to
agreements,
see? Yeah,
right? Yeah. Like they don't like it when you tell them they're wrong, even if they are, right? Like they're
yeah.
not gonna handle it well. Trust me. I know. Uh,
Yeah.
so we'll see. Like I would love to open up the doors in Japan. I would love to have several fights in Japan. To be honest, I love their fan base. It is an exciting opportunity. I just have to go out and do my work, and even then, is there a division behind that for them to continue to bring me back?
Mhm.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited with the opportunity.
Yeah, man. Gonna be a fun time. Looking forward to it. But
Do you have any insight on the lawsuit? Do you think that that's going to open up any doors? I'm not even mad at the UFC again, but I am excited at the opportunities that could do for the sport and the fighters themselves.
yeah.
Do you have any perspectives of that, or?
So the kind of the legal terms always catch me off guard a bit. So I'll talk to like a buddy who is a lot more knowledgeable about like just that stuff, but I haven't caught up with him yet since this recent stuff. But yeah, I can't quite say how much or what exactly this next step is going towards, but the fact that it's just moving, I think is good. But I'm definitely not knowledgeable enough at it at the moment. So
Yeah, I don't know the depths of what's going on. I just know that the court date's very soon.
yeah,
Like, so that means a judgment could happen very soon of some sort, right? Like,
yeah,
I just don't know what that opens up. And then it's like, I don't expect to make a ton of money off of it. It's like the four guys that are the main plaintiffs will make a ton of money off of it if there is money to be made.
right.
My only hope, I guess, at this point could be like, maybe we ended up with health insurance or something. That'd be cool. Past, your career.
Yeah,
Where past your contract, which is not even guaranteed, so you don't have any I don't know. Again, I don't blame the UFC. They're just running the capitalistic business. Like
Hmm.
they're there to make money. They're not there to care about anything else other than that, I guess, right? They have
Yeah.
shareholders. They have The Rock that's worried about.
Yeah.
Doesn't isn't he a shareholder?
I think he is now. Yeah, he's involved obviously, but specifically how much, I'm not sure. But
He bought that one guy a house. That almost
yeah,
like takes away the fact that he did what he. How did they sweep that? How did he sweep that under the rug so good?
I don't know.
The
I
shoot.
don't know. Yeah, nice
Is
gesture.
media all fake?
I guess
Is it
so.
all propaganda?
Everybody's in on it. It's one big yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I'm interesting enough to be in the Truman Show, so I don't think it's everybody's in on it. I think everybody's just full of shit.
Right, right.
Pretty scary. You got any questions for me, bro? Or have I rambled enough for you?
No, man, you're good. I feel bad for taking so much of your nap time here, so I was about to let you go. But I did want to ask, though, before I did let you go, Todd, like, I actually started my career on SureDog, and there's a famous picture of you. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. There's an, and I
The
want,
bean burrito, Paul Buentello.
yeah, I wanted to ask you about it because I've seen it for so long ago, and everyone would always be like, "Oh, Todd Duffee's a SureDog guy." So
I'm
what's the
actually
story
not.
behind it?
I like the underground at the time. I used to like go on and harass people and like really not harass, but just like kind of I don't know. I have a funny story actually from Paul Buentello. He just told me last week there was a guy that I guess I set him so straight because he was like hating on somebody. He was hating on me in some way, and I just like broke it down. I was like, "Here's what you're doing. Here's probably why you're doing it." And he went from being like an alcoholic to he has a drink in 12 years.
Oh wow, look at
So
that.
actually, Paul Buentello himself was telling me that story like a week or two ago. So I used to use the underground quite a bit back like years ago, and I never really
Anonymously or
got on
as
sheer dog.
yourself?
Oh, as me, I don't
Okay.
ever. No, no, I have no fear.
Okay.
I don't. I don't even understand. Like, I don't even understand how the people with fake yeah, it's weird. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of reporters that get fake profiles. I know that I get into arguments on Instagram with fake profiles from reporters. It's very evident
Oh
very
really?
quickly. Oh yeah, because there's just no way it better be a reporter or this guy should be. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, there's
Okay.
just no way it's not, especially when it's like a clear, like fake profile. Like it's a
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
my account. Uh, and I love those the most. Honestly, I'm like, oh, I have somebody that thinks they know. This will be
Yeah.
good.
Here we go.
Tell me about my career, bro, please, because it's all been convoluted. It's all been bullshit. Like there's so many like just misconceptions, prints almost you'd say.
Hmm.
I don't know. I never really was big on Sheer Dog to be honest. That was like a one time thing. Like my buddy was like, "Oh, we got to sign the contract while you eat a burrito and put it on Sheer Dog." Like
Okay.
that's really all it was. It came down to. I'm really sad that fight never happened. Me and Paul are actually really good friends now. I see Paul probably like once every 2-3 weeks.
Well, I saw your
He's
Instagram post about him being a gay artist now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. What a career switch, right?
Crazy. Who would have thought?
Not me, bro. Mr. Machismo himself, the number
Uh,
one Trump fan in all of California, selling gay art. Like, I think,
Hey
you
man,
know,
do what you love.
no, I'm with you. Uh, yeah, he's actually just he went down and did Herb Dean's refing some of that as well. So he's
Okay.
trying to ref. Hopefully, I like to see that because like another massive issue in our sport. It's not really the refs. We have a lot of good refs, I think, at this point. Like they're starting to come, and that's a
Yeah.
very difficult job. But what I don't think is a difficult job that I think is like so ruined is the judging.
Yep.
How did these people get hired?
I mean,
I
some of them are from the boxing side.
Yeah, I've talked to some of them, and they tell me about their, especially when they're older. So like when you're talking like I've talked to like as they're like in their 60s, 70s. There's
Hmm.
a lot of those judges, and they'll tell you all about them. And what they really tell you at the end of the day is like, I'm not qualified to do this.
Like we can
I,
tell.
yeah, like I used to do karate and I used to do this and we used to do dojo things and like,
God.
yeah. And you're just like listening to them. You're like, so you did make dojos for 20 years and now you know about MMA, the sport that was created after
Yeah.
that you could never even participate in that is still to this day developing. Like we're still developing the sport. So I don't even, I'm like, and you're the one that's judging, and they like to tell you about how like, oh well, when they really react to a shot, that's when I know. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you really care about how that person walks back to the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like their body language doesn't. I don't believe that actually because I see guys that I've seen win fights. Like I had a buddy who lost a decision recently, and the commentators were commenting on his body language, but they were also commentating on the fact that he was still the more active guy. He was the one that was expressing
Okay.
more energy. He was the one, but his body language looked like shit. That's his personality. He didn't
Yeah.
give a shit. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like fighting more comes to do with personality than it does even sometimes the circumstance of what's going on. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing this guy's personality. Like, you don't get me wrong. Like, you can't. There's certain ways to tell if a guy's shuffling his feet. If a guy like is clearly dizzy. I'm not
Right.
saying that, but I'm talking about like a guy that's tired or just has this like relaxed look.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I had this particular conversation with one of the judges that like the way they told it to me. I'm like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. This is bad.
like, like this is so bad. You have no qualifications to be here, and you're about to determine someone's career. Like why don't they have open scoring? You know, like what's happening there?
Yeah. The argument against that is that it'll make the fights boring, which you can counter that. You can say the reverse to that too. So it's not a good argument, but that's Dana's big thing. He's kind of openly said that, and I don't know. I'm all for open scoring too. So
Somebody broke down that argument for me recently, and I don't remember the details of it, but they did make some of it make sense. Oh, it was my coach. He kind of he's like, the guys will like one of my Muay Thai coach kind of broke it down, and I kind of agreed with him in the moment. But even then, I still can't wrap my head around it because it's like guys will know they're down 2 rounds,
yeah.
and they still don't come out and fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that guy. Maybe he's injured in that moment. Maybe there's a dynamic that we're not aware of that he's not able. He's just and there's some guys that don't know that they're down 2 rounds. They may think they're winning. They're still going to come out in the third round and try to finish.
Yeah.
And maybe get finished doing. You know what I mean? And they're up 2 rounds. Let's say they don't need to finish. They just need to win the round. And that's that person's personality is going to come out, and that's going to show. I don't know. I just find it weird. Like, sorry, I just haven't talked to somebody that like you've been around since like 2009. I've been aware of you. Like maybe 2013 was probably when you probably really got on the scene, right?
Me?
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You've been around for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Is what I know. So it's like I'm talking to somebody that like I feel like you kind of understand the sport pretty well. And I haven't talked to somebody like that in a while. It's not a fighter. Did you fight at all or no? Have you trained or?
No, I always wanted to, but I just never got around to it. So yeah.
It's quite the endeavor.
Yeah, clearly. So
Yeah, it's a minimum year of your life.
and I do like my brain. So
yeah, but like that's another thing that I it's interesting how that plays out, right? Like some people definitely have to pay a price.
Mhm.
Some people don't.
TJ
But I really
Grant
think
comes
that's
to
more
mind.
huh?
TJ Grant comes right to mind there.
Is he not had to pay any?
Well, I
Or he
mean,
had to pay a price?
just a concussion ended his career.
I can't think of is TJ Grant that 155 little white kid with like shaved head?
Yeah, he was supposed to
Big right
fight.
hand.
Was supposed to fight Benson for the title, UFC 164, and then he got concussion and never fought again.
Yeah. There's quite a few of those I can think of, but I'm not gonna name their names.
Sorry,
Not
TJ.
out of- yeah, I don't know how I don't know how that feels. Like but then there's guys that I think it's a lifestyle thing too, right? Like
Right.
I see lifestyle as probably the number one factor. Like if you're drinking and doing this sport, you're fucked. You're getting double brain damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they've came out and proven that alcohol causes brain damage, and it's like you're now doubling down every night. Like
Speeding it
I mean,
up.
breathing
you know.
hurt brain damage. So it was kind of the I don't know. I've rambled at you enough, dude. I imagine, right? Like, did I give you any soundbite you could use?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
we're all good, man. I mean, hey, I didn't want to keep you for too long, but I appreciate it so much, man. It was great. Been wanting to chat with you for a while, and yeah, we were supposed to chat before your last fight too, but that just never lined up. So I'm glad to get it done
I feel
now.
like we missed. Yeah, I tried, right? Like, what happened to that?
I don't remember. Alan was trying to help us out, but yeah, I don't know. Just didn't
I don't know that whole like
progress.
that the last like 5 or 6
You were
weeks has been
sick. You had
nasty.
COVID. That's what happened. Like, fuck it.
Realistically, uh, no, because I mean that was really like the week, the 2 weeks. Like it wasn't
I
really.
think
I
he
don't
I
know. We
think
were
he
trying.
was trying to get us to chat fight week though, and so you were like right traveling and all that. I was like, just forget it.
So
Yeah.
it's not good. All right, well, thanks for your time, bud. Hope it worked out. Sorry for the rambles, but
No,
just got to do
great,
that
man.
next week.
Totally appreciate it, and very excited. Best of luck with things, and have fun in Japan, dude.
All right, thank you. Be safe.
All right, see ya. And joining us now is the Shuto Atomweight champion, Ayaka Watanabe. All right, Ayaka, it is great to see you. Happy Monday. Just how are you doing? How is life right now?
渡辺選手、まずは、お時間いただいてありがとうございます。今日に月曜日だと、思うんですけれども、今のところ今週はどうですか？どんな感じですか？
始まったばっかりなんで、あれですけど、いつも通りです。
Yeah, the week has just started, so I can't really talk about how my week has been going, but it's just another Monday. It's just another beginning of a week.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you had a good weekend. Did you do anything fun the past couple of days? Enjoy the weekend at least?
今週末は何か特別なことされましたか？何か羽伸ばしたり、リラックスできましたか？
先輩と遊びました。
Yeah, I hung out with my elderly friends.
All right. Very cool. Good to get some relaxation time, especially ahead of, the big Ryzen debut. Congratulations on that. Let's get right into it. I mean, I'm super excited to see you getting this opportunity, and I'm sure you are too, but I just got to know, what was your reaction? How excited are you to fight on, a platform like Ryzen?
まずはですね、もう担当直入にインタビューの方に入らせていただきたいんですけれども、本当に、渡辺選手が、いよいよ大舞台のライジンでデビューをするわけなんですが、このオファーを一番最初にもらったとき、どんな反応でしたでしょうか？
いや、対戦相手のマチ選手は結構評価が高い選手だったんで、正直美味しいなと思いました。
So for me, honestly, when I got the offer for the matchup, my opponent Machi, I think she's pretty overrated. So I thought it was a very a great opportunity for me.
All right, of course. And I mean, I got to ask how you think you match up then. Why is it that you think she's overrated? A lot of people, kind of think she's doing good so far. Of course, both very young in your careers, but what makes you say that? I got to know now.
そのマチ選手がすごく評価高いっていうのは、具体的にどういうふうにご自身、評価されているのか、お聞かせいただけますでしょうか？
いや、その SNS の反応とかで、超新星みたいな、湯沢に次ぐ超新星みたいな感じで、いろんな人が言ってるのを目にすることが多かったので、評価されてるのかなと思って。
ご自身で試合を判断した感じではどう思われますか？
強いとは思います。強いとは思うんですけど、でもまだ、どうだろう、ベルトとかに絡んでるのも見たことないから、自分、強いとは思います。はい。
So yeah, not to discredit her or anything. I think she's decent. I think she's a good competitor. But she hasn't really tested herself with any opponents. She hasn't really put herself out on the title, championship contender. But yet I see all these headliners about Machi on social media, like she's the next big thing. She's the next genius, following Izawa. There's a lot of hype behind her, but I haven't really seen her prove her abilities to match with those lineups. So I'm not discrediting her, but think there's a lot of people who talk highly of her.
Okay, yeah, I think that's definitely a fair assessment, especially from what I've seen as well. And I can see kind of comparing to both of your careers so far, Ayaka, because I personally, been watching your career so far, and I think it's kind of, you can't argue that you started off better because of the opponents you've beaten. I mean, some seriously experienced opponents that you've finished in, just Mina Kurobe and then Sarame in your last fight. So, I mean, congratulations on those. But are you feeling then kind of maybe, I don't want to say disrespected, but overlooked by a lot of people considering who you have beaten already this early in your career?
まあ、そのような見出しとか、牧選手をすごくこう持ち上げる部分って私の方でもまあ見ていますし、まあ、わかりますと。ただ、まあ、こう、お互いのキャリアを比べたときにですね、渡辺選手が過去に倒してきた、選手たちを、こう、そうそうたる相手を倒してきて、ましてやこう黒部選手だったり、南選手をフィニッシュしてここまで来ているので、こう自分自身が牧選手よりももう少し評価されてもいいんじゃないかっていう気持ちはあったりしますか？
まあそうですね。まあ、マチ選手がやってきたキャリアの中でやってた選手、姫選手とか、荒見選手とかだと思うんですけど、まあ、自分が倒してきた選手たちは、まあ、黒部選手とか、サラミ選手みたいな、まあ、格闘技界で実力者って言われる選手を倒してきたと自分でも思ってるんで、まあ、マチ選手よりも評価が高くていいのかなと思います。
So, comparing our opponents, I believe that, the fighters that she's beat are like Hime and Arami. Those are probably the highest caliber opponents that she's beat. And as you have mentioned, the opponents I've beat are seasoned veterans with lots of experience that should be more, respected. And so when you just simply compare the competition that we face, I do believe that, I should be getting more credit than she has been getting.
Yeah, hard to disagree again. Like I said, they were both fantastic wins, and I mean the last one in particular, Ayaka, I want to ask you about. I mean, it's always great to get a head kick win, but like, what was that feeling like getting that big victory over Sarame? And did you ever imagine, a head kick being the way you would finish that fight possibly? Because it turned out pretty great.
まあ、その過去の対戦相手の話になったので、ちょっと今直近の試合、サラミ選手との勝利についてちょっと話をお聞かせいただきたいんですけれども、まあ当然、こうハイキックで、勝負を決めるっていうのは当然こう気持ちがいいものだと思うんですが、サラミ選手相手に、ああいう勝ち方ができると、当初予想して、試合に臨みます。
もう一回ですか？
サラミ選手相手に、ああいった勝ち方、ああいったフィニッシュの仕方ができると、思っていますか？
で、まあ、勝つなら、その短いラウンドの間に KO するかなとは自分で思ってました。
Yeah, so for me, I was predicting if I were to win, if I were to beat Sarami, it would be a finish in the early rounds. So I kind of predicted it, but not to a T.
Yeah, I mean, so it worked out maybe a little bit better than in that case. Like I said, the head kicks, he can never go wrong. And I mean, you've had no decision wins on the record yet, Ayaka. So I got to ask too, like, is it important for you to be a finisher and kind of put on these very fun and fantastic performances, especially the way that you have done so far? Does that mean more to you than just kind of getting a win? Or is it like, I'll take the win just no matter how it comes?
渡辺選手は今までまだキャリアで判定には行っていないんですけれども、ご自身でこうフィニッシャーであるっていうことに対してのこだわりだったり、そこの大切さ、に何かこだわりはあったりしますか？それとももう勝つためだったら何でもすると、判定でも厭わないという考えなのでしょうか？
まあ、その女子格闘技の、まあ、そのストライカーって言われてる選手っていうのが、まあ、基本的にフィニッシュ率があんまり高くないからなんかあんまり面白くないっていうのを日本の格闘技で言われてるのがちょっと気になってたんで、まあなんか今までにいないような選手を目指しているっていう部分はあります。
So, it's been bothering me that, in Japanese women's MMA, the so-called strikers are not finishers. And the striker, the female strikers don't have the ability to finish. And that's kind of like what the impression that Japanese women's MMA is getting. So that is something that, I want to change. And, if that is true, I want to be the type of fighter who is a striker, who can finish, who can deliver exciting fights. I want to be that type of fighter.
Yeah, well, I mean, you literally have been so far, so off to a great start, Ayaka. And I spoke to Megumi Fuji, of course, the legend herself, a couple weeks ago, and, we talked about you and the big win you did have over Sarami, and she was very complimentary of you, had a lot of praise for you, and can see, you having a great career, and pointed out how you have this killer instinct and ability to finish that, maybe we don't see so often all the time. So she had a lot of nice things to say about you, and I just wanted to ask, like, what does it mean to you when you hear people, especially like one of the best fighters ever, Megumi Fuji, giving you that kind of praise, and just how motivating, I guess, is it when you hear things like that from those kind of people?
渡辺選手は間違いなく今のところケレイでは本当にこう女子格の中でもストライカーでフィニッシュできる選手っていうポジションを確立しているので、素晴らしい、スタートなのかなというふうには、思います。そうですね、ちょっと話変わって選手、この間、藤井恵選手ですね、女子格の、パイオニア的、選手の方なんですけども、彼女にインタビューをして、渡辺選手についてちょっと印象を聞いたところ、やっぱりすごくいいことをすごく褒めていてですね、渡辺選手のスタイルだったりとか、運び、スタイルをすごく褒めていたんですよね。で渡辺選手自身は、他の人から褒められたり、特に藤井選手みたいな、藤井さんみたいな、レジェンドの人に評価されているということに関して、今聞いてどう思われますか？
いや、すごく嬉しいです。
いや、I'm flattered. I'm very happy that she credits me like that.
Yeah, it's definitely a big praise to have from somebody like that. So I'm sure it feels very good, and I was glad to hear that she has high hopes for you as well. But speaking of kind of pioneers and whatnot, Ayaka, like you've been thrown to the wolves a little bit in terms of facing these veterans so early in your career, and I think that can only help you, obviously, especially as you're beating them on the last two fights. But you did have the one loss against Emi Fujino, and I just wanted to bring that up because I feel like that was probably great motivation, and probably learned a lot from it. And we've seen that in the past two wins that you've gotten. So I was kind of just curious, like, what did you learn and take away from that win that helped you put together these great back-to-back performances against Sarame and Kurobe?
渡辺選手のキャリアを振り返ってみるとですね、結構しんどい相手を当てられてきているなっていうふうに思っているんですね。ただ、そこのベテラン経験豊富な、実力者たちと、キャリア早いうちに当てられても、こうして、ここ直近2試合、見事な勝ちをしているんですが、その前のですね、藤野選手には負けてしまっているんですが、その藤野選手に負けた経験が、今回のこの今の結果につながっているのかなというふうには思うんですけれども、藤野選手とやった時に負けて、何か気づいたこと、学んだことってのはありましたでしょうか？
藤野選手と試合決まったのが本当1週間前とかだったんですけど、その時は本当に勝てると思って、対戦オファーを受けさせてもらって、で、いざ試合してみたら、トップファイト本当強いなって思って、で、そこから、もう本当に1月、黒部選手と試合したのが1月なんですけど、3ヶ月くらいの間にまた強い選手と当たるっていうのが決まって、もう本当死に物狂いでやらないと、この世界では勝ち上がれないなと思ったんで、そういう部分を含めて、格闘技って厳しい世界なんだなっていうのを学びました。
So when I took the fight against Fujino, it was like a week notice. And at the time, I was pretty confident that I could beat her. So that's why I took the fight. But, once the fight happened, I realized I was humbled to experience the abilities and talent of the top competitors. So I was absolutely humbled with that fight against Fujino. And then once my fight was confirmed with another veteran, which was Kuroben, I was determined to be able to dedicate myself to work as hard as I can for the next 3 months to make sure I am ready to be able to compete with these top talent. So I guess, the biggest takeaway from the Fujino fight was that, I was humbled and I was able to understand that, this is not an easy world. It's not an easy sport that we are in. So, it was a big life lesson, and I was taught to dedicate my time and put in the efforts in order to face top competition.
And I don't know the story, Ayaka, but I always love hearing how fighters got into the sport, whether, jumping right into MMA to start with, or I'm sure, other striking arts or, grappling by themselves, whatever it may be. But for you, like, what's the story for how you got into MMA and just combat sports in general? How did it all start?
ちょっと話が、飛ぶんですけども、渡辺選手がそもそも格闘技に関わるきっかけとなった、お話をちょっと聞かせていただきたいんですけども、どのようにして格闘技に携わり始めたんですか？
もともと父が、リビングのテレビで、プライドとか、そういう格闘技関連のものを見ていたから、自分の私生活の中に当たり前のように格闘技があって、で、柔道をずっとやってて、 まあそういう戦う世界にはいたんですけど、なんかこう、柔道引退した時に刺激がない毎日になんかちょっとなんかつまんないなと思った時に、本当ふと格闘技やろうみたいな、っていう感じで始めました。
So, growing up as a child, my father was a big fan of the fight game, and he'd be watching it on television on a regular basis. So for me, having fight content around me growing up was normal, and I was aware that there was a sport, called MMA. And as I was competing in judo, and I retired from judo. I wanted more excitement in my life. There was nothing more exciting than competition. But after retiring from judo, there was nothing to do. So I literally just thought, hey, why not try fighting? So that's how I got into becoming a fighter.
All right, there you go. And how was the transition for you at first going from judo to MMA? Obviously, we've seen plenty of fighters with that background make the transition and do very, very well, and kind of, I guess you could say seamless, considering how well a lot of them have done. Ayaka Watanabe and, Seikezawa come right to mind, even though she has her wrestling, and there's Ayaka. Blanking on the last name right now, but the zombie, she also had the background of judo, still does judo. How was the transition for you at first? Like, was it difficult at all? Pretty easy? How would you describe it?
今、日本の女子格闘家の中で柔道から総合格闘技に転向した方って多いと思うんですけれども、それこそ渡辺香奈選手、伊沢聖華選手、三浦彩香選手などいろいろな選手がいると思うんですが、渡辺選手にとって柔道から総合格闘技に転向した時のこの何か簡単でしたか？難しかったでしたか？どういう最初はどういった感じでしょうか？
どうなんだ。でも、そもそも、その柔道、なんかその総合格闘技の世界に来たときに、その柔道ベースで試合をするのは自分的にはなんかあんまりつまんないなって思ってて、で、総合を始めるなら、こうやっぱ総合格闘家らしいなんか戦い方をしたいなって思って始めたんで、なんか本当に柔道が一応ベースにはあるんですけど、本当ゼロからって感じだったんで、そんなになんか難しいとか、なんかそんなに考えたことなかったですね。
So when I started fighting MMA, I didn't want to become a judo fighter fighting in judo MMA style. That was just not happening. That was boring to me. So when I first started MMA, I completely forgot about my judo background. I just went in there from the beginning, from the start. So I don't really consider myself having a judo background. Even though I do have a judo background, I started in MMA from scratch with that mentality. So I don't really rely on my judo, or I don't really consider myself being a judo fighter. So that's, that. So for me, the transition, to answer your question, the transition was not hard at all. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. You mentioned that you haven't really leaned on it or needed it too much in your wins so far. So it is kind of like starting over, and it's been working out so far. But it's very interesting to hear, Ayaka. So cool stuff. And all right, well, appreciate the time so much, Ayaka. Last thing I will leave you with, you mentioned, growing up and watching the fights with your dad and just, having martial arts in your life from there. I got to know, like, who are some of your favorite fighters growing up, or who are some of your favorites right now? Who are the ones you like to watch?
渡辺選手が個人的にこう憧れたり、ファンだったり、ファイトスタイルが、を憧れてる選手って今、過去にでもいますでしょうか？
UFC の今の現役のチャンピオンのジャン・ウェイリー選手がかっこいいなと思って、いつも試合見てます。
So obviously, Drake, you heard it. It was John Wiley. He idolizes and wants to be a fighter like that.
Of course, can't go wrong with the champ. A very fun one to watch all the time, and as are you, Ayaka. So we can leave it off there. I appreciate the time again so much. Very, very excited for you to get to fight in Ryzen, and been very exciting watching your career so far. So congratulations on the wins you've gotten recently, and best of luck with the rest of camp and the first fight here in Ryzen against Machi. Going to be a good one. So I appreciate the time so much. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and just a big thank you, a big arigato gozaimashita.
ありがとうございました。
And closing things out, we have Watanabe's opponent, Machi Fukuda. All right, Machi, it's great to see you. I'm loving the new hair. Looks nice. Happy Thursday. Just how are you doing? How's life treating you right now?
マチ選手、どうも本日お時間いただいてありがとうございます。早速ですが、新しいヘアスタイル最高ですね。いいと思います。
ありがとうございます。
今日日本おそらく木曜日なんですが、今のところどうですか？今週は順調ですか？試合に向けての調整とかいかがでしょうか？
ちょうど、9月に入ったので、追い込みを始めました。
Yeah, so we've just entered September, so I'm on my final stretch of my fight camp, and things are looking good.
Awesome. Happy to hear it. And I got to congratulate you, of course, on this opportunity with Ryzen. Very awesome to see. I mean, I just got to know right away, like, what was your reaction to getting the news, the fight offer to compete in the ring in Ryzen and all that good stuff? Just how excited are you for this chance here? This big fight. Only your fourth fight, and you're already on the big show.
マチ選手、もうプロこれでたったの4戦目なんですが、ここで、このタイミングで大舞台、ライジンに出れるという、チャンスが与えられたんですが、まずはですね、このマッチアップ、オファーがあった時の率直な気持ちをお聞かせください。
はい。やっぱり、中学校2年生からライジンに出ることが、すごい夢でやってきたので、本当に決まった時は、すごく嬉しかったです。
So I started competing in this sport starting 8th grade, and my goal from then was to compete in Ryzen. So, I'm very excited and I'm very hyped to be able to accomplish my goal so early, but I'm nothing but more motivated.
Yeah, absolutely. Very awesome to see the dreams coming true a little bit here. And I mean, does that have any extra pressure on you because of that and feeling like, oh, you're here maybe a little bit sooner than you thought you would be, but of course motivating, like you said there. But just, I guess, what are the nerves like going into this? Do you feel those typically as the fight gets closer, or how do the nerves sink in, I guess, for you when it comes to something like this?
本当にすぐとはいえ、だいぶ期間短かったんですが、その目標とされてたライジンで試合がするっていうことが決まったんですが、逆に目標が決まったっていうことと、そしてすぐ決まってしまった、すぐっていうか意外と早く決まったことが、逆にマチ選手にとってプレッシャーに働いたりとか、なんか大舞台で試合をするっていうことに対しての、余分なプレッシャーは感じたりしてますか？
あんまりプレッシャーみたいなのは、全然感じてなくて、そうですね。プレッシャーはないです。
Yeah, I don't really feel any pressure. I guess I'm the type who doesn't feel pressure. So right now, I don't feel any pressure.
All right. Well, that's always good, of course, being able to stay relaxed and go into the big moments that way. And I got to ask, Machi, do you have any big entrance ideas? That's always kind of the fun part, getting to start out in Ryzen or just compete there, as you can have kind of fun with the entrances. Do you have anything in mind yet you can share with us?
ライジンといえばいろんな演出だったり、選手も、入場にこだわったりしてると思うんですが、マチ選手、ライジンのデビュー戦、初めての入場で何か考えてることありますか？なんかこだわり持ってなんかやってみたいなと思ってることあったりしますか？
自分は結構もう中2からずっと今までライジン毎回行くぐらい好きで、いろんな選手の入場を見てきたんで、ちょっといろんな面白い演出はやってみたいなとは思うんですけど、まだ考えてないです。
Yeah, so I'm a Ryzen nerd myself. I've been to most Ryzen events. And I'm just a big nerd myself, so I know how unique all these fighters do their walkouts and whatnot. But I've always dreamt and fantasized about an original walkout. I've always thought about it, but at this moment right now, I have no idea what to do.
All right, I'm sure something will come to you then as it gets closer. You got plenty of time still to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, you're still super young, Machi, which makes this very cool to see, it happening as quickly as it is for you. And you mentioned they're competing or training since 8th grade. I mean, what made you want to get into punching people in the face so young? Like, what inspired you and made you interested in doing this in the first place?
マチ先生まだまだとても若くて、キャリアも始めたばっかりだと思うんですけれども、先ほど中学校2年生の時からライジンで出たいというふうにおっしゃったんですが、そのライジンがきっかけとはいえ、でもどういうきっかけで、本当にどういう思考で、
人の顔を殴ってお金を得るという、キャリアを歩むようになったんですかね。何がきっかけで？
やっぱりその時は柔道をやってたんですけど、初めてその会場で見た時に、人を殴るとかはちょっと、びっくりはしたんですけど、直感的になんか自分はこれがやりたいなっていうのが、パッと、頭に思い浮かんで、それからはもう夢が、そうですね、初めてライジン見に行って、もうその日から夢がずっと変わんなかったんで、その殴るという抵抗よりかは、そこで戦ってみたいっていう方が大きかったです。
Yeah, so I was competing in judo at the time, but it was more of an instinct for me. Like I was competing in judo, but the first event I attended for Ryzen, punching people in the face, getting punched in the face, that was kind of shocking. But it was an instinct that kind of just fit right in. It hit me, it hit my head, it hit my brain, and I knew this was it. And ever since that, my first experience, my live Ryzen experience, that has just been inputted and engraved or imprinted in my brain. And that has been my goal ever since.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. And obviously it's paid off so far with the undefeated record. But I'm curious, Machi, do you have like any hobbies outside of MMA, or is it kind of like everything is consumed by MMA, just takes up all your time? Like you said, big Ryzen nerd. Do you have any time for anything else, or is it just 100% MMA these days?
今、マチ選手は、そういったメンタリティでプロの格闘家になって、今、無敗と素晴らしい結果を出しているんですが、マチ選手、格闘技以外に何か時間を費やしたりするっていうことありますか？趣味だったり、リラックスの仕方だったり。それとももう格闘技？
ほぼ毎日練習してるんで、もう休みはあんまりないんですけど、時々書道を書いたりして、趣味が書道なんで、書道を書いたりする時間はあります。大丈夫？あれ？声が。
大丈夫です。ごめんなさい。すみません。
すいません。
So I'm in the gym every day, so I don't really have time to do anything else. But I do have one hobby, and it's calligraphy. So I like to write proper letters and pretty much kanji characters, and that helps me relax, focus, and wind down a bit. So I do I like calligraphy when I have a little bit of time, and it helps me relax and focus within. So I guess that's my hobby.
All right. Very nice. Yeah. Can't beat some good writing time. Always good to relax the brain, like you said there. So that's very nice. And, Machi, your whole career so far is kind of, started out and taken place in Deep Jewels. And I wanted to mention this because what the 10-year anniversary show of Deep Jewels is, I believe it is this weekend, if not next weekend, but it's happening very soon. 10 years of Deep Jewels. So very cool. Congratulations to them. But I want to ask you just like how important you think it has been just for your experience and growth so far, so early in your career, getting to compete for, a very historic promotion like Deep Jewels to help you get ready for your Ryzen opportunity.
マチ選手のキャリアといえば、今、ディープジュエルスでキャリアを作って、ライジンにっていうふうに、しっかりやられてると思うんですけれども、そんなディープジュエルスが、10周年の大会を、今週から来週、本当に直近でやると思うんですが、マチ選手にとって、非常にディープジュエルスというものは、キャリアの中で大きな支えとなっていると思うんですが、マチ選手にとって、そして女子格闘技にとってディープジュエルスっていうのはどういった存在だと思いますか？
やっぱり自分から見てもディープジュエルスが一番女子格闘技の中では今盛り上がってるんじゃないかなと思って、その中でもやっぱりいろんな強い選手がいるので、すごくみんなが出てみたいなっていう格闘技団体だなと思います。
Yeah, in terms of women's MMA in Japan, I think Deep Jewels has the most momentum. It has the most consistency, and it has the best talent in Japan. And I do believe that Deep Jewels is definitely one of the promotions that a lot of the younger girls, women, look up to competing in. So it's a great promotion.
Yeah, hard to disagree with you there, Machi. And, in your second victory, you got a big win over Hime. And I wanted to mention this one to you because, Hime at the time, she's kind of risen up and you managed to knock her off early in your career. Pretty big upset, I would say. But from your perspective, I just want to did that feel like a big win to you? And just like how important you think it was beating somebody like her in only your second fight?
マチ選手はディープジュエルスで、プロ2戦目で、姫選手に勝ったと思うんですが、あの時いろんな状況の中、姫選手が、すごい勢いがあって、で、みんな姫選手中心に回っていくかなと思ったら、マチ選手がそこで姫選手に勝ったので、私なんか見てたら、やっぱりすごいアップセットが起きたなというふうに思ったんですが、マチ選手から見て、姫選手に勝ったあの試合は、ご自身ではどういう勝利だっていうふうに感じてますか？
試合決まった時は自分でもちょっと姫選手かとかちょっと思ってしまったんですけど、ここに本当に波に乗ってる姫選手にここで勝てば、そのライジンとかも見えてくるかなと思って、練習から本当にめちゃくちゃ追い込んでやっていきました。
Yeah, so when I first got the offer of Hime, even I kind of hesitated. Oh, that's just way too much experience and she's on a roll. She's on fire right now. But I also thought that, if I could beat her in a convincing way, that might be my golden ticket to Horizon, So I thought about it and I took it in a positive way and trained really hard. I put everything into fight camp for that fight. And, that's the result I got.
Yeah, worked out pretty darn well. That is obvious to say, but it leads here now to Ayaka Watanabe. Machi, coming from Shuto here. Both you guys are on similar experience, both finishers, both very exciting fighters. Like, this is a very awesome matchup for both of your debuts in Ryzen, I think, and just a great matchup. But for you being a part of it, just what have you made of Ayaka? I'm sure you've watched her a little bit now, especially as you prepared to fight her. But just what do you make of this matchup and your thoughts on her as an opponent overall?
そんな、中、マチ選手のライジンデビュー戦が決まって、その対戦相手が、シュートから来た渡辺彩香選手。似たような、キャリア、似たような戦績、お互いにこれからの時代としてすごく期待されている選手たちなんですが、おそらくマーチ選手も、渡辺選手のことは、知ってると思いますし、ある程度は研究してると思うんですが、マーチ選手から見た渡辺選手、彩香選手、どういった存在で、どういった選手だと思いますか？そしてこのマッチアップの相性どうでしょうか？
やっぱり渡辺選手はいつも自分が練習してる藤野さんとかサラミさんとか黒部さんみんな戦ってて、その選手たちにやっぱり KO で勝ってて、自分は生で見たりしてたので、本当に強い選手だなっていうのは思ってて、で、気持ちもすごい強いのが伝わってくるので、そういうところがちょっと怖いなっていうところはあるんですけど、その相性的には悪くはないと思って、渡辺選手は試合で一回もまだ組まれたことがないので、自分は組んでからが勝負なので、そこがちょっと、相性は悪くなくて、悪くないと思います。
Yeah, so for me, she's competed against all my training partners. Fujino-san, Kurobe-san, and Sarami-san. She's competed with all my training partners, and I know how tough they are, and yet she's been able to knock them out. And I've seen that live firsthand right in front of me, so I know how good she is, and I know what she can do. So as an opponent, I think she's a great competitor. She's got skills, and but as far as a matchup wise, I think it's a good matchup for me. Her grappling has never been tested, and that's where my strengths are. Like, I think I can utilize my strength once I tie up with her, and her grappling has never been tested. That's where I'm strong. So if I can get in there close distance and utilize my grappling, I think I have a good chance. So as far as matchup wise, stylistic wise, I think it's a good matchup for me.
It's interesting you mentioned kind of the friends and teammates that she has the wins over Machi. I'm just curious, does that make you want the win that much more, kind of get a revenge for him a little bit?
先ほど、黒部さんとサラミ選手、自分が普段練習している方々、に、KO で勝っている。ということは、マチ選手、それだけ、仲間、みんなのために、この試合をどうしても勝ちに行きたいっていう、特別な追加な感情っていうものあったりしますか？
そうですね。試合見てて本当に自分もすごい悔しかったので、 なんか、あんまりそこになんか感情は乗せたくないんですけど、でも自分がちょっと勝って、勝ちたいなっていうのはあります。敵じゃないけど。
Yeah, so obviously she beat my teammates right in front of me. I was right there. So, it was devastating for me too. I was mortified. And as much as I don't want to get my personal emotions, I don't want to bring my personal emotions inside the cage, but it would be great. As much as I don't want to get emotional, it would be fantastic, and I think it would be a great thing if I could beat them and bring back the victory to avenge their loss.
Of course. And not to get too much into the emotions, Machi, but I'm curious, like, is if there's a little bit of bad blood at all between you two, because at least from Ayaka's perspective, because I spoke to her a couple days ago, actually, and she, had some choice words. She called you overrated. She said you were undeserving of the hype that you have so far in your career. And I just kind of want to get your response to that, obviously, and kind of, why you think she might be saying that stuff, because I don't know, is there bad blood at all? What's up with that, you think?
ちょっとマキ選手とインタビューする前に、私、渡辺選手とも、インタビューをする機会があったんですが、なんとなく感じるっていうか、マチ選手と渡辺選手の間に何かこう、確執があったり、なんか因縁があったりってするわけではないですか。というのも、渡辺選手とインタビューしたときに、やっぱりマチ選手について、見出しが私より注目されてるとか、やっぱり見出しが多いとか、戦ってる相手のレベルは私の方が高いだとか、結構すごくライバル視しているっていうような意見が聞かれたんですが、マチ選手から見たら個人的ななんか確執だったり、なんかあったり。
いや、自分は何も思ってないんですけど、そう思われてるんだな。自分は別にそんなに渡辺選手にライバル視とかは、してないです。
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really think about stuff. I don't really care. And even if she does have something, I probably won't notice. I look at her as a tough opponent. But for me, there's absolutely nothing personal. So if that's what she thinks about me, that's fine. I don't really care.
All right, there you go. Just gives you more motivation and fuel to go in there and, shut her up a little bit potentially there. So there is that. But I'm curious, Machi, again, because it has been, a quick rise for you to get here to Horizon again, just 3-0 so far, and just 20 years old still. Like, I'm curious when you kind of look at things, if you're somebody who looks into the future at all, like, how quickly are you wanting to kind of rise through the ranks here in your career and, reach the top or at least get around maybe title contention? Of course, still very soon, but when do you kind of imagine yourself getting to like that point?
マチ選手、まだ20歳で、3勝0敗、プロ3戦、これが4戦目なんですが、すごい、スピード出世という形で、ライジンのデビュー戦を迎えるわけなんですが、マチ選手自身、自分のキャリアで、こういう時間軸とかね、何歳までにはこういうところに行ってたいとか、自分のこの将来のキャリアについて、どういう考え方をしていますでしょうか。
とりあえず、ベルトが、ディープのジュエルスの52のベルトが欲しくて、今年成人式なので、今年までに一応ベルトは取りたいなと思ってるんですけど、あと3年後とかには海外に行けたらなっていうのは自分の中で考えてます。
Yeah, so for me, I really want to go after the strawweight belt for Deep Jewels. And I will turn 20 this year. This year, I will be officially, by law, I will become an adult. So I would want to get my championship belt the year I become an adult. So that's been one of my goals for this year. And so that's my goal, my near goal. But maybe within 3 years, I would like to challenge internationally. I would like to take on some global competition and whatnot. But yeah, those are my 2 goals for now.
All right, certainly some very good ones to have there, and very attainable, I think. But on that note, Machi, I think we can wrap it up. I appreciate the time so much. Very much looking forward to the big Horizon debut. Congratulations on the success that you've had already so far in your career. think it's only onward and upward from here. But I just appreciate you taking the time so much. Hope you have a great rest of your Thursday, and a big arigato gozaimashita.
ありがとうございました。